All right, I'm gonna run up the hill. I'm gonna set up some targets. Listen, man, don't touch that.
Yeah, for sure, I won't touch it. You got my word, man. Boy Scouts honor, I won't touch it.
Don't touch it.
All right.
I told you not to touch it.
Mr. President! Mr. President, get down! Mr. President, get down! The American SS, Secret Service that is, an elite group of law enforcement dedicated to protecting the United States president.
I was ready for him, but it's much easier if the cops do it. Don't we agree?
And today, we have one of their rifles, the SR-16 with a very coveted rail. Allegedly, this is what they use. I have to say allegedly for certain reasons. But today, we're taking a look at this little bad boy right here. Now, you may be wondering,
Admin, why would I care about this Knight's Armament SR-16? What makes it so cool?
there's a little bit of lore behind it. It's very sought after. It has a very specific vibe to it. And it has that allegedly being used by the Secret Service. So I thought it would be an interesting video. So let's dive on in. Before we do that, I know you're on the toilet drinking your coffee, eating your beer. Make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Your comments are a sacrifice to the algorithm gods. And if you don't leave a comment, then I think the Secret Service is going to show up to your house while you're watching this. No promises. Mr. President, get down! Now this gun is pretty neat. It's pretty cool, as the kids might say, but it's not my firearm. Today's more of a show and tell. It's not really like a firearm review. It's more so showing off a neat gun, a little bit of current American history, kind of. But it belongs to a friend of the channel. It belongs to M110 Sassy Girl Actual. Wait, is that your right name?
Front and center.
All right, get over here. Cody, Mr. Clary, it's good to have you out here, man. Thanks for coming all the way from,
Appreciate it.
Where are you from?
Whispering Hollows of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cody looks like the guy from a Hallmark movie that falls in love with the girl from the big city. Oh, shit. Swarm of fucking bees. Gentlemen, one day I want to be able to afford a Knight's Armament rifle, especially one as cool as this. So to do that, we have to thank the sponsor of this video, which is going to be Gentlemen, admin from the future, making money for me from the past. Gotta give a big thank you to this video sponsor, Americana Pipe Dream Apparel, fantastic young Zoomers, getting after it in the military space and arena, doing the Lord's work, keeping your LARP gear very well stocked. They have a bunch of Turkish milser in the inventory right now. Turks, Ottoman Turks? Yes, those kind of Turks, not Turks and Caicos. They have all the things you need besides that, as well as night vision knives, manuals, and a bunch of other goodies to keep you well LARPed and stocked. So of course, a massive thank you to Americana Pipe Dream Apparel. Also gotta give a big thank you to AAC, the ammo sponsor of the channel, for keeping us stocked up with lead and brass. It does help keep things moving when we do the firearms bits. All right, now back to the video. Tell me about this gun, what makes it so special, and what makes it worthy of showing it off to you guys.
So we have a Knight's Armament SR-16. What makes this gun super neat is it's a very exclusive gun, so not a lot of people have it. It's something that's not available to the commercial market. Now, why is it not available to the commercial market? Well, it's Knight's Armament. You know, they just don't care about us. Please, please.
Please, Knights.
Please.
Care about us.
Please care about us.
I need a
more.
LARP.
Yeah, we need to LARP harder. Allegedly, this is exactly what the Secret Service uses. Allegedly, of course, I don't think that's what they use. Anyway, so what's really neat is they've got their own proprietary rail system here, and it's only available to them. They don't make it for any other contracts.
So you're saying that it's a very sought after rail just to the nature of its being, right?
Yes, just the nature of its being, and strictly for the SR-16. So a lot of people, they had the SR-16s with the 3.1 rail. So that's kind of the smooth here with the grip with the rail panels. And you've got some Picatinny on there, possibly the most aesthetic handguard of all time. Now, this guy is super cute too, but M-Lock, you know, I like cheese graters. Anyway, so we've got the M-LOK here. Now what's neat is the people who wanted this gun, and the reason they wanted the new FF RAS rail. So they wanted a user serviceable gun. You know, if guns go down, they use them. You know, they put thousands of rounds through them. They need to take these rails off. They need to maintenance them. You know, you got a bad gas block, you need a new barrel. Why send it out and wait? We can do that at home. So you got your 2 pins here, unscrew them, take off the whole rail system versus having to need the old barrel nuts and stuff like that and the barrel nut wrenches. It makes it much easier for somebody with limited experience, limited armorer's experience to really do their own thing with it.
We're working with government employees here.
I would rather work for Chuck E. Cheese.
High-speed individuals, very intelligent individuals. Now, a couple neat things about this is set up exactly like a Secret Service weapon would. It's not a Secret Service weapon, but it's very similar to how it would.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, of course. So, a couple key factors. We've got the American flag here, laser etched onto there. That's something that they do, always assaulting forwards. You have your Knights Armament sand cutter bolt carrier group. Now, what does that do? Well, that keeps the sand out of the carrier when I'm LARPing in my mother's basement. It's very sandy down there. But out here in Arizona like this, it's really nice. Inspired by the old FALs.
I feel like I'm watching an M110 SAS actual video in real life. This is pretty nice. Carry on.
So they've got their sand cutter carriers here. Pretty cool, you know, they hold oil a lot better, they hold grease better, and of course they cut that sand in my mother's basement. So the SR-16s, they're rolled SR-16 on the bottom here. You have your ambidextrous bolt release here, mag release, and of course your safety as well. Ambidextrous charging handle. Yeah, that's about it, yeah.
I gotta say, dude, I am such a sucker for the ambi bolt release.
You know, I am too, so it's kind of funny. I first shot my first matches back in, I don't know, 2018 or something like that. And it's really interesting when you go up to a stage, a lot of times they want you to have the bolt block to the rear. What's really nice when you approach your stage, you can kind of take it, then drop it. So instead of, you know, you have your nice and steady, you get your thing set, drop your bolt, and you're ready to go. It doesn't have the bolt catch on the gun though. I do like a bolt catch, especially just unloading, manipulating malfunctions or whatever.
Wait, so you're saying the bolt catch doesn't get activated when you charge it to the rear?
Correct, yeah, That's only a drop, so it doesn't do that. Now, their newest ones coming on the KS1 lineup, those are gonna have something similar to like LMTs, Daniel Defenses. It's got the paddle switch. One goes down, one goes up.
Now, is the KS1 the one that the UK military is gonna be using?
Correct, so the KS1 is the SAS. That's their new contract. The KS1 is the SAS contract rifle. It's a 13.7. I have this gun outfitted with the Knights Armament. This is the all new one, PRT, pressure reduction technology, space age, space magic, whatever it is, flow through, it's all the same, right? What they're gonna be using on a lot of those new KS1s is the little Cody guy, you know, just tiny little dude, but
little guy.
Yeah, he's just a little chode guy. He's cute.
Well, hold on, we gotta make the joke. No, it's actually massive.
That thing is absolutely massive.
Exactly. Ha 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 ha. Okay, all right. So I saw something on the gun I wanted to talk about, and there was a little bit of a John Hancock right there. Could you tell the audience about it?
Yeah. So one of the first really cool things that happened to me right after this guy invited me onto his channel. Thanks again, buddy. I went down to Knights Armament. I was invited down there by the guys from there, Mr. Trey Knight. We went down there and made a goofy video about SHOT Show and just had a good time. The Islancer, the KAC Islancer.
We don't want to suppress it. We want to enhance it.
He gave me this rifle here, man. It means a whole lot to me. I've been shooting the heck out of this thing. And, you know, some people say, like, why don't you sell it? It's worth so much money. I said, no, it's not. It's only worth what it's worth to me, man. It really means a lot to me that he'd give me something like this. And not to mention, it's a sweet running rifle.
That's wholesome. It's a wholesome story. Cody, why do you look like a Hallmark character that would fall in love with a girl from the big city?
Well, I was planning on taking you home.
Stop, dude. This is a family channel. It's a family channel, man.
All right, we can start.
What was the day for the Trump protesters with the January 20th? January 6th protesters, not on my watch. Oh no, they're overwhelming me. Watch out for those protesters. Hi, Fed Admin here with the Secret Service.
So I know the topic of law enforcement within gun culture can be a more so heated debate, and rightfully so. At times, law enforcement does do a bit of treading on the rights that God has given us as American citizens. That being said, there are times when they provide a useful service. Now, taking all of that controversy away when it comes to the armament of guys in the law enforcement world with certain setups. This is actually a pretty cash money setup for, I would say, a law enforcement officer. Of course, it's missing a weapon mounted light, which is actually very useful, especially to guys on, say, to a patrol setting. And in general, because it gets dark every day, right? When I was a donut eating cop back in the day, I had initially a 16-inch rifle that I bought with my own money that I used, and then I was getting salty and I was afraid that I would lose it to an evidence locker, and I demanded a department issued rifle. And I got what it would end up being an 11.5 .5 rifle. Now, funny enough, it would not be a suppressed rifle, so I would have to go through some serious medical claims for hearing loss if I ever had to use that rifle. Big thank you to my old department for that. Thankfully, that never happened. But I essentially had another setup where I would run an LPVO with the rifle, and I underwent a lot of LPVO training, or essentially a week's worth of training, to use an LPVO on patrol. So the LPVO is pretty cash money. There are situations where a bad guy may have someone hostage, and getting a pinpoint shot on the forehead, anywhere from 50 to 100 yards or in, is, the difference between life or death. You stopping a threat rapidly.
Push an LPVO. Push an LPVO.
There were multiple OISs. There's even one in Phoenix where a bad guy was holding a baby at gunpoint, pretty much. Phoenix PD smoked that dude pretty quick using his LPVO setup on his rifle. So there is great merit to it. Now, when it comes to the Secret Service, they are a very elite group of law enforcement, especially I'm sure in their higher tiers. There's of course probably layers to it. They probably have some slower speed guys, maybe they're older guys. They maybe have some young guns that are pretty go-getters. But a setup like this makes a lot of sense. You have an 11.5, it's pretty wieldy. They're probably not gonna be doing a lot of bushwhacking out in the wilderness, so having a gun that's pretty lightweight, wieldy, makes a lot of sense for what they would be doing. Now, this particular setup with the Knights Armament, anything Knights Armament or LMT, those higher end brands, or HK, they essentially make me think of like the NATO death squads. And I think it's rather fitting that, of course, the Secret Service would be using that. I, for sure, as a lowly beat cop, did not get issued a Knights Armament. Do I wish I had a Knights Armament issued? Bet your ass I did. But I did not get that luxury. I know it's a bit of a tangent you didn't ask for, but it was some thoughts that I was cooking on. So let him cook. Please, viewer. Let him cook.
He said being able to see what you're shooting, that's pretty cool too.
That's a big deal. Now, another thing people don't think about is not just the shooting, right? So if you get to a situation and you're trying to establish what's going on, hey, we got a call for an armed subject, or hey, there's potential reports of someone that's armed, or they may have a knife or a gun. With your LPVO, if you're set up behind cover, you can use the magnification on your optic to essentially PID what's going on. This guy matches the description. This guy's just holding a magazine or like a notebook, or he could be holding an actual firearm. So you can diagnose what's going on rather quickly. So I will say that we are pretty spoiled with LPVOs, and then of course when you pair them up with a good old AR-15, it's a cash money setup. So Cody, I have a question for you. What would make Knights Armament so much better than, say, the more generic brands like Aero, PSA, or even get into BCM, which I think BCM is a pretty good mid-tier brand?
Yeah, for sure. I'll say I've found in my limited experience that you can get a $500 gun and it's gonna run. Sometimes you can get 1,000, 2,000 rounds out of it. But this is where the difference comes in. You buy a $3,000, $3,500, $4,000 rifle. You get 5,000 rounds on each gun. One's breaking down. One needs a new barrel, gas system shot, your gas ports eroded, you've broken bolts, things like that. The only thing the $4,000 rifle probably needs is a cleaning, maybe some oil and some lube, and that's about it. You do get what you pay for when it comes to very expensive firearms, and it's not just like, oh, this one's gonna be super duper more accurate, this one's gonna shoot bad guys more better, and it's gonna protect me more better. I mean, yes, possibly. The biggest thing is how long is it going to do that? How long is this gun going to serve me? Because let's be real, the economy right now is a little rough. Things are expensive, and it's expensive to live, and going out and spending $4 grand on a rifle sometimes just isn't in the budget. I mean, and it makes sense. Like, man, what if I could spend $1,500 and get good quality? You absolutely can. It's just a matter of how long is it gonna do that, and how much trust do you have in that? And what makes Knights very interesting, they're made in-house. So a lot of AR manufacturers will bring in parts made by other people, and they assemble them in the shop. And that doesn't mean that they're bad weapons. They could be fantastic weapons just because they don't make every single part. But when it comes to Knights, all of these parts are going to be made in-house, especially with their SR-25s. And that's what makes them really interesting, that everything is done under one roof. And it's very cool to see that. It's not too often in the gun industry do you see every single part coming from within. Sometimes it just makes fiscal sense to bring in some parts from another manufacturer. Again, that doesn't mean that it's gonna be a bad gun because they're being assembled by somebody else and being made by the rails made over in Georgia, the receivers made in Tennessee, and the lowers made in Illinois because it's very cool there in that state, right?
Timbuktu. I thought you were gonna say Timbuktu.
Just because it comes from all over the country doesn't mean that you have a good in-spec gun. Now, everybody who manufactures anything, doesn't have to be guns, cars, you name it, even brand new construction houses, bad things happen. You know, you're gonna get something out of the box that sometimes doesn't work. I've had $5,000 optics that don't work out of the box, and I've had $60 Amazon optics that have held up longer than that one. But at the end of the day, when it comes to a gun like this, what you are buying,
a name brand,
what you are buying and what you're spending your hard-earned money on is somewhat of an investment, but a tool. At the end of the day, never forget, it's a tool for home protection, for protection of yourself, for protection against tyranny. And which do you want? Do you want to save a couple bucks, or do you want to go big? That's ultimately up to you. If my life was on the line, I know which one I'm doing.
A Brown Bess musket. Got him. A short pattern, land model, Brown Bess musket. Good enough for the Brits, good enough for you. You were saying it, and I can imagine us playing like the patriotic music behind it.
I feel like there's this rift in the gun community right now, and it's very interesting because people think if you spend $5,000, you put $10,000 in a gun, you are automatically gonna be a better shooter, you're a better person, you're high tier or whatever. No, 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 no. Run your gun and not your mouth. I can't begin to tell you how many times that I personally have been outshot by dudes with $600 rifles. And I'm just like, I like that. I love that. It's like, man, I need to get better, bro. Like I just got shown up by a dude who shoots better than me with less money in his gun. And that's just awesome to me. I absolutely love that. And people say like, what's the best gun that you can buy? What's the most expensive gun you can buy? Because I'm gonna get that. There seems to be this correlation between if I spend more money on something, I'm going to be better. No.
Nah, that's not how it works. You can buy a Formula One race car. It does not make you a Formula One race car driver.
Right. That SpongeBob episode where he's wearing the box. Imagination.
Imagination. It's my LARP. I choose the rules.
The best thing that I could say is don't go below your budget if you don't plan on shooting a gun like this and don't plan on using as it was intended. At the end of the day, guys, it's just a tool. Use it as a tool. Spend that $600 on a gun. Let's get some rounds through it. Spend that extra money on ammo and training and become a better protector of yourself, your family, and those around you in protection from tyranny. I would love to see $600 guns being ran like $10,000 guns. And at the end of the day, those dudes, when they finally upgrade to one of these, they're gonna be awesome. And they've deserved it and they've earned it. I haven't earned this, by the way. You know, this guy, he knows what he's doing though.
I'm Administrative Results, and I approve this message. KAC, TPR?
PRT, Papa Romeo Tango.
KAC, PRT,
QDC.
QDC.
Or Lamy.
KAC, PRT, QDC.
CRS.
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 KAC.
KAC.
TRP?
PRT. PRT.
So we had this can right here. Now in KAC's infinite wisdom, they gave it probably the longest acronym I've ever heard. Cody, can you please explain it?
Anyways, I was just being mean to the guy here.
I deserved it.
No, it's very interesting. So KAC, Knights Armament Company, PRT, pressure reduction technology. So there's no true thing such as flow through. That's just kind of like a coined term, if you will, but it's the closest thing is, you know, the common term for that. So pressure reduction technology, meaning less gas is going into your face, less cancer dust into your mouth, into your nostrils, going out the end of it, which is good. PRT, pressure reduction technology. CRS, that is combat rifle suppressor. CRS, combat rifle suppressor.
How do I take this off?
Unscrew it.
Oh, okay.
You just kind of gotta. CRS, combat rifle suppressor, PRT, pressure reduction technology, and then it's QDC, so that's the mounting system there. So there's a ball bearing system inside there. Line it up on the indexing pin on the muzzle device, put it on, and then just crank it down. It's that easy.
Cranking my can, cranking my can. Cranking.
Cranked.
Can cranked. Good Lord. So you can check it out. You can see the ball bearings inside. I don't know if you can see that, cameraman. It's kind of interesting. You got your indexing point right there.
And then on the muzzle device, those little ball bearings, they lock into place there, and that's what helps it seat.
That's a pretty large indexing pin right there, I will say.
Can't miss it.
Can't miss that mug.
Big pin.
I'll give him props. A can, when I was shooting, I was getting pretty much no gas back in the face.
It's pretty impressive what they do. So there's only so many ways to skin a cat, so they say. So obviously, less gas in your face means more gas going somewhere else. Where's it gotta go? It's gotta go out the muzzle. And well, you know, some people do complain that says, well, they're a little bit louder. I said, well, yeah, maybe a little bit louder, but the biggest thing is flash and signature reduction in general. Everybody knows that suppressors are not Hollywood sound, obviously some crazy myth. they're loud. You know, a supersonic crack of a 5.56 pill is going to be loud. So the biggest thing is going to be signature reduction in general. Flash suppression, also some sound suppression as well. With their mounting system, something that's really nice is repeatability. How many times can I take it off and put it back on? Is my zero always going to be there? Is my zero going to be the same that it was 6 months ago using the same ammo, same lot number and everything like that? This really, really helps. It's a very good system. It's very repeatable. I put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off, and it works really well, and my zero is always there.
And I will say, after shooting this for a bit, we put not a crazy amount of ammo through it, maybe 500 rounds, I'd guess.
10 million rounds, no issues.
10 million rounds! So as far as speaking to shooting an AR-15, right? Usually it's like, who cares? We've all shot an AR-15. I will talk about it slightly. I will say it was pleasant. It felt like I was shooting a higher end gun, if that makes any sense. I can see why the hype is a little bit behind it. Of course, the reliability, that name of Knight's Armament going into it. And we were talking about how Knights doesn't actually make anything for the civilian market. Everything is a contract overrun.
Yeah, so it's very interesting because a lot of companies have dedicated civilian lineups. You know, I mean, all the big names, Sig Sauer with all their huge military contracts have guns specifically made for the civilian market. HK, you name it, LMT. Everybody's got them. What's interesting is Knight's Armament, that's not their focus. Their main focus is fulfilling contracts, you know, for government, for agencies, law enforcement, and things like that. And it's very interesting to see a company that's not dedicated to the civilian market. Now, that's not to say like they're anti-Second Amendment or something like that. It's just, hey, you got to do what pays the bills. And professionals handling your weapons is really quite the sign of, hey, you made it.
That's pretty true. Typically in the firearms world, everything has that trickle down from high-speed units where everyone's chasing that dragon. High-speed units trickle down to regular large units trickle down to law enforcement, and or high-speed units trickle down to law enforcement units. Whether it's high-speed law enforcement, everything kind of trickles down. The cool thing about being a civilian is you can buy whatever you want. You don't have to rely on Papa Government. So if you have the coin, you can chase the high-speed cool guy gear dragon.
And LARP in your mother's basement.
And LARP in mom's basement. It's all LARP until it isn't. As someone who does a bunch of weird guns, it's always a treat to actually get to run an AR-15 and run it relatively hard. I mean, we didn't do a super high round count today. I will also say, Cody, that this is the first time I think I've had a Knight's Armament on the channel.
With anything with that fancy Knight logo on it, you got to pay the Knight's tax.
So congrats on making administrative results history, technically. But also I want to say thanks for coming out. Let me shoot your gun. It has some cool backstory with allegedly being a Secret Service rifle. So I wanted to say thank you. And where can people find you, man?
110 SAS Actual, man, that's me. I just appreciate you having me on here. It's been an absolute blast, you know, kind of hanging out with guys that are a lot cooler than I am and LARP way harder than I do.
Not true.
Guys that run their gun and not their mouth. So 110 SAS Actual, that's my YouTube channel. See you guys there for some shenanigans.
He was too nice. We're gonna get out of here.